Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
And a very pleasant good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome into Life Planning 101 right here on KTX, KWBY. Angela Robinson in the house with us. Good morning, Angela.
Good Easter Monday morning. And if you're listening on Saturday, he's still risen.
Absolutely.
So, yes, and how thankful we are, especially to have Christ in our life and in our business, too.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm very thankful for that. But, you know, I promised you taxes this week. However, I started to dive off in it. There's a lot going on. I don't know if you've noticed. Don't know if you've read the headlines on all the tax changes that are
being proposed.
Yeah, being proposed and occurred. And it really got my goat that with so much noise out there. I thought, you know, let's take a pause this week because I think we're going to know a lot more by the end of this week with some things. I also get to spend time this week with one of my favorite people is who the IRS calls when they don't understand their own tax code. He's a tax attorney, and I want to get his input and view on things. And also, I thought the other thing we really need to address is with so much noise out there, where are you going to for information? This is really important right now.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I don't trust a single news station out there. So it's really, really hard to find accurate information, much less accurate wisdom, because there's a difference.
Sure.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to share a story. This is a true story about a friend a few years ago. He was scheduled to get a stress test, and he always drank orange juice, and so he wanted to make sure that there was no caffeine in his orange juice. No, yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
But that was his goal. So he actually went on Google, started Googling, is there caffeine in my orange juice? And he was able to verify that, or so he thought. And he also learned something else, that if you combine orange juice and toothpaste, you can knock off your wife.
Really?
Yeah. How about them apples, right? So here's the instant availability of information that we have, okay? It's crazy.
It is.
Isn't it crazy what you can find? So 1996, if you remember, that was about when dial-up was getting some traction.
Right.
Remember that time, right? You got your first little computer and you
And the bing
plugged
and the
it in,
bonging,
and you call someone's house and it was busy because they were on the internet, right? Yeah, you had that whole noise, right? So 1996, do you know how many websites there were? Hey, take a guess.
1,000.
1,000. Well, yeah, there was more than that. 100,000.
Okay.
Actually 100,000. But, you know, that's still
Not many
not
compared to
many
today.
compared to today. What do you think there are today in
my.
January 2021?
I have no clue.
1.83 billion websites. Wow. So 96, 2006, 2016. So 25 years. Look how far the internet has come. I know. Is the appropriate response. Because is it really a good thing that all that information is at your fingertips, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can Google anything.
You can Google anything.
Now,
And
is it accurate?
Yeah, that's the big question. You know, my brother, he's always saying, and I love it, this is why he is so important at Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group. He's always saying, you can Google whatever you want to be the answer. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that is true. If you put any bias in a Google question, you can switch the answer.
Right.
You can actually Google about abortion as if you're opposed to it and as if you're for it, and it'll pop up responses with your bias. How about them apples, right? So what's that tell you? I mean, is the information really just confirmation bias? Is it really just what you want to be the answer? Are you getting the real information? Are you getting the accurate information? And besides that, I mean, there is no Google police. You know, I write stuff every single week, right? I've been doing it since, I don't know, 2006?
Yeah, a long time.
2006, okay? So we've been writing something every single week. and putting it out there on the information. Well, there's no Google police that makes sure that that information is accurate. I mean, now you do get Google ratings based on the relevancy and accuracy of your information over time. But who's to say that we're not feeding people full of you know what, right? I mean, or anyone else's. That's the reality. That's what you're really facing out there. So what is all this? How do you get through it? How do you decipher through it? And I kind of think, I don't know about you, I think we're at one of the most critical points in all of our history from an economic standpoint, because there's a lot happening that we've never seen before.
Right.
There's a lot happening that we don't know how to deal with on a personal level, much less on a mega scale of a global level, right? And so how do you know that you're actually even asking the right question to Google, much less getting the right information? So that's going to be the focal point of Life Planning 101 today. You're not going to want to miss it when we come back.
Life Planning 101 right here on KTX KWY. Angela has some information about the internet.
Information about information, right?
Information about information.
Where do you get the information? And so I got one for you here. To the question, does money buy you happiness? I dare you to Google that. Because in a recently highlighted result, it stated, quote unquote, there is enough scientific evidence to prove it, quote unquote.
Really?
Yeah. So it's something we all know not to be true. There it was on the top 10 page, right? So, or top page, or the top 10 of the first page, I guess.
Right.
But therein lies your answer to all of this. You know, yet we keep doing it, don't we? I mean, I'm guilty. I tell my kids all the time, I want them to be self-sufficient. I mean, that's what you want for your kids, right? So they asked me a question. I said, well, Google it. Learn about it, you know, figure it out. And I guess I'm gonna have to go back and get those. You remember those Encyclopedia Britannicas or something in our house, where they're gonna have to go pick them off the shelf and actually have to look that up there, because I don't know, are they getting a good website? I mean, when it comes to taxes, I'll be honest with you, when I am learning something about taxes that I haven't seen before, I don't Google it. I don't Google it because I will get the wrong information. You have to go straight to the source. And for professionals, you actually have resources to be able to do that. There's always irs.gov, but sometimes you can't find what you need on irs.gov.
Good luck.
So, you know, we have specific resources that we go to, because you can actually find an answer that's written by someone and it may be the completely wrong answer. Is that scary?
Yes.
That's very scary. I mean, imagine doing it yourself, Googling it, come to find out 2 years later when you get audited, it's wrong, and you got penalties and back taxes.
And that's not a defense. That
yeah, not gonna happen, right?
well, I Googled it, and that's what Google said. Sorry, that's not gonna fly.
That's exactly right. So here's a quote. I love this. Knowledge is knowing that tomatoes are a fruit, but wisdom is knowing that they really don't need to go in a fruit salad. Okay, so that was by Brian O'Driscoll, and I love that, because true wisdom is something that can't be gained from 1.83 billion websites out there. It's the same reason that when we get someone that's fresh out of Texas Tech Financial Planning School, and yeah, they got the degree, they even may have a master's in it, and they're coming to work, that they still know nothing. Why do they know nothing? Well, maybe they have the language. I mean, they're definitely 3-4 years ahead of someone coming on off the street, no doubt. But what about the experience? It's not there.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and that's the most valuable thing you can have is the experience, the hands-on.
It is. If you think about it, you remember, we were talking about this the other day. You know how like welders and mechanics and, you know, people that use their hands for a living, how they would always have an apprentice? And you would have an apprenticeship for years. And it was like going to a college. I mean, that's what you did, is you spent so much time with your mentor, and they pay you a little bit of nothing while you're learning, right?
Yes.
Because that is really your way of paying for your education. Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, we're not going to go off on the topic of schools and is it good to send your kid to school or bad to send your kid? I'm not going to do that. But here's the reality. Knowledge is knowledge. Wisdom, it's a whole nother animal, and you can't have the wisdom without the experiences. And Google doesn't have wisdom, right? So you're missing something entirely. And I'll give you an example of this. So this has been a few years ago. We met a couple, and this isn't the first time that I've seen this, by the way. But we met a couple, and they had recently retired and decided to go get help after they retired. Okay, then this happens a lot because people get busy, and especially right in the last leg of things, they're, heading that last 100 meters, and they're just running as hard as they can across that finish line, right? Everything's so busy. And then they retire and they think, now we have time to look at things and plan and make sure we got everything together. And this usually happens. I mean, it really does.
I got to go back to work.
That can happen too. In this case, this lady, she was a retired administrative person at a school. So there's a pretty hefty pension. And she'd picked her pension options and everything else. And so we were looking at all of this. And about 80%, 90% of their income that they were going to need to live off of in retirement was going to come off of that pension. Pretty significant. It was big compared to their expenses. But they did something. She was younger. And so they picked the highest payout, which means single life, meaning
it ends when she passes.
Dies. Right. She's married. She dies.
Now we've lost 80% of our retirement income.
Yeah. Guess what helped them pick that option? Google. That's only something that can be learned through experience, through seeing something that really does happen. Another common one we see a lot, 4%. 4% rule. You've heard the 4% rule?
Yes.
Okay. If you retire, you got X amount of dollars. You just take 4% off of it. It's a safe withdrawal rate, right? And that gets challenged every few years, and it gets challenged again and challenged again. And I was actually on a call with a couple that's going to be retiring soon, and we talked about the 4% rule. We brought it up. We brought up the fact that this needs to be the maximum amount that we do. And it was particular to their situation. And he was kind of nudging his wife, see, I told you, I found that on the internet. And I said, yeah. I said, but here's the problem with it. And I'm going to tell you this. I said, so when one of you passes and we lose a Social Security check, what's that 4% now? Does it need to go up because we're losing income from a different source? It has to. So now what have we put ourselves in? And what if that happens early? See, the internet gives you information, but it doesn't give you the experiences. It doesn't give you the wisdom to understand what can really happen. What's the number one fear when people retire?
Living too long?
Running out of money, right? Not having the income.
Outliving their money.
Yeah, outliving their income, not having the income there. And yet we rely on a source that has confirmation bias to provide us the information we need to shore that up. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe not. Right. So true wisdom can only be gained through experience. 1.83 billion websites is not going to get you there. And it's unfortunate to me. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Working on this thing, and I guess I could YouTube it and find some videos and figure out how to do this. And sure enough, I was able to figure out how to do it. Now, I don't like enough internet and technical stuff that after a few videos, that was it. So I sure hope that it was good advice. But I think that's most people, if you really think about it. How much are you going to Google about a situation? How much are you actually going to sit there, and are you going to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to figure it out?
And most people never leave the first page.
That's right. Exactly. So do-it-yourself websites, blogs, YouTubes. You can find anything. You can do minor home repairs. You can put in a pool in your backyard. You can do your legal documents, right? You can do your income taxes, home loans, finances, how to perform heart surgery. It's actually on there. This is not a joke, right? So obviously, we hope we wouldn't do that. But the point is if just because it's there, does it mean it's not going to hurt you? There's more to come on Too Much Information when we come back on Life Planning 101. You're not going to want to miss it.
Final segment, Life Planning 101 on this beautiful Monday morning. Angela has information overload.
Yes, information overload. And what do you do? I mean, we're living in some crazy times right now. We've got drastic policy change going on right now. No matter if you're for it or against it, it's drastic. And it's affecting a lot and going to affect a lot, some of which we may not see for years. Do you know that, for example, 2008, when the financial crisis occurred. That was actually a result of policy that was passed in the early 90s.
Really?
Yes. So see, it takes years and years and years and years for the layers of the onions to peel back before you find out if there's really a problem with policy. Everybody's always worried about how policy is going to affect the here and now, and we're not. We're really not. We're concerned about the velocity of money. Where is it going to go? Where's money going? And how bad a force is inflation going to be with all this money being pumped into the markets, right? And at the same time, you got technology cheapening things up on the other side. So that's deflationary. And you got these two trains headed towards each other, and what's going to happen? And, this is where Google can get you into a lot of trouble. And, we did a show a few weeks ago, lots of fun, poked fun at everything going on with GameStop and, social media over that. But that's the reality, is that if you're picking up information, where are you getting your wisdom? Where are you building your house on a rock? Or are you just building it on quicksand and what's ever to come off of the next Google page, right? And that's really where we're at today. I mean, think about it this way. I know you've done this. Don't tell me you haven't done this. Have you ever tried to self-diagnose a few health problems on Google?
Oh, my.
Okay, see, I know you've done it. Everybody's done it. Yeah. Everybody. If you say you haven't done it, I don't believe you. No. You are not telling the truth. Progress starts by telling the truth, too, by the way. If you haven't
done it, it's probably because you don't know how to use a computer.
That's right. That's exactly right. So after Googling for a while, you might just learn that you only have a few hours left to live. I mean, this is the really bad news. And, the reality is if we can do that there, what other damage can we do before we even know it's too late, that the damage has already been done? We talked about some of those. Social Security filing. Oh my gosh. Google is my worst enemy. It is my worst nightmare when people come to me about their Social Security and they say, well, we Googled this and this looks like the best strategy for us. And then I said, well, all I'm asking, give me just a little bit. We'll run that through the software and the analysis, and it'll pop out all the facts and figures, and you can choose. And every time comes back as something else they should do, right? But because it was something they read that was that confirmation bias, it may be too late, right? And we talked about that. I mean, we've had shows where we've explained how you can get over 50% of your Social Security check taken away from you if you do it wrong. So it's extremely important. Imagine having an increasing interest rate as a young person on a home loan and not even know it. And what are we entering right now? What's the fear about interest rates, right?
Gonna rise.
Ouch. Ouch. Yes. If you have a variable rate, right?
Right.
They've never seen it. They don't understand what could happen. That's the wisdom, not the information, right?
Yeah, wake up a couple of years from now and your house payment be 50% higher because, well, maybe not that much, but be higher.
Yeah, and can you afford it?
Right.
And you think, well, it's not, interest rates won't go up that much. Well, I'm going to tell you, a 50% jump from zero is only 0.5. Think about that.
Right.
That's nothing. It's nothing for that rate to go up that much. Taxes. Oh my gosh, Albert Einstein's, quoted saying that he can understand everything but the U.S. tax code, and it's worse. It's worse today. Every politician in the world talks about simplifying the tax code. It's not been done, and I don't see it happening anytime in the near future. I think it's going to keep getting worse. So more and more and more, I tell people, if you've got any complexity, you really need to have a professional that's helping you, so you make sure and not misstep and not pay any more than you have to or you should be. I mean, yeah, we're Americans. We need to pay our fair share to live in this great country and protect ourselves and to do the things that we need to do as citizens. I get that. And I'm not fighting that. And I'm not saying let's jump through the loopholes. But you don't need to pay any more than your fair share unless you just want to, right? But on the flip side, you also don't need to be cheating the tax code. And that can happen, too, without you knowing it. I talked to a lady just recently, actually. She was talking about the PPP loan. She hadn't taken one out for her business. And I said, well, why? And she's like, well, I understand that, it's like welfare. And I said, well, not really, and you're going to be the one paying for it anyway, so you might as well take advantage of what's available. And I was talking to her about who she banks, and she banks through a major bank. And I said, well, that's probably the problem. If you had a relationship, you probably would have been informed and had someone with wisdom helping you through this situation. You know, she didn't have a financial advisor. She didn't have anybody that's really helping her through that. So all she was doing was Googling. And how much money did she miss out on? And it was a lot. It was a lot. It was 6 figures.
Wow.
Okay. So is this important to have someone with wisdom in your corner? And is it the right person in wisdom with your corner? You know, bankers do their thing. CPAs do their thing. Investment people do their thing. Insurance agents do their thing. So who's really fighting for you? That's why I got a job, by the way, in case you didn't know. So, this is the reality, though, is that too much information will bite you in the rear. And you don't even know what's happened until it's gone past and you say, oh, what did I do? So do-it-yourself projects, they're neat. They're fun. They're something to be proud of. When it comes to your taxes, your money, your insurance, your investments, your future, not a do-it-yourself project. Really, really not a do-it-yourself project. So, in fact, we just recommend steering clear of Google when it comes to those things. We don't even Google when it comes to those things. You need a practitioner. You need a specialist to be helping you work through that. Someone that's had the experience, that has the stories. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Our company's almost 35 years into this business. That's a lot of stories, isn't it?
And that's a lot of life experiences.
That's a lot of experiences. And it's not just our experiences. It's those that we have shared with families we worked with, the ones that they've told us, that they've seen. And we've been able to piggyback all of that to help people keep getting better at living life on purpose, doing better at living life on purpose. Isn't that really what we're all after? Is to be able to catapult off to something else rather than having to start from scratch and figure it out?
Yeah, you can avoid those pitfalls that other people have already been through if you work with someone that has the experience.
That's right. The wisdom.
Yeah,
the wisdom. That's
yes.
all you're looking for. It's not the information. It's not asking the question. It's asking the right question in a lot of cases. And how do you even know if you're doing that? You don't.
You don't.
Right? So what does it mean for you to live life on purpose? Is it a do-it-yourself project, or is it something that you need to get help with? And I would challenge you to think about do-it-yourself as really living by default and taking as it is comes. And that's the reality. So I share all of this with you because we're going to dive off into a really deep topic talking about taxes next week. It's getting nasty out there. And we really need to have some wisdom in your backyard to help you navigate how you're going to be able to survive through retirement, because that might be your biggest threat. Not the investments, not anything else. It might be taxes, and you're not going to want to miss that.
How do you navigate like these spending bills? I mean, to see what is really in a $2.9 trillion infrastructure bill.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? You know, the reality is you could read it, but would you understand it? Would you understand it, right? And that's where the wisdom comes in. That's where the experience comes in, and understanding how things affect things. And it's not just me. I can't do the job alone. That's why I spend tens of thousands of dollars on education every single year for myself, but not only for me. Every one of our advisors in our office does it in a different area.
Right.
And then we hire specialists on top of that because we got to know how it's all going to work together, and we got to play team. You know, there's more power than multiple minds than there is in one, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. So you're not going to want to miss next week's show. You're not going to want to miss the next month's shows. I'm telling you.
You don't want to miss any of our shows.
No, you really don't. You really don't. It's Life Planning 101, helping people live life on purpose. And God bless everyone. Happy Easter. He is risen. He is risen indeed. My name is Angela Robinson with the Kennedy Financial Services here in Eastland, Texas. Make it a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.